What's up, this is Black and welcome to Black IRL. Today we got the story of Zombie Richtofen turned into the undead Call of Duty Black Ops zombie storyline by Black Ops Amazing, bro. I follow this. I love this. I love these videos, and I am a big fan of Call of Duty Black Ops. So I'm gonna enjoy this video, man. Let's watch it, bro.
Is the story of Undead Richtofen, a zombified version of Richtofen that was used as a pawn, sent on a quest to collect the blood vials of the victor's characters, and ultimately left to die again, fading to ash before being resurrected and then meeting his end one final time, being shot in the head by Nikolai. This is the story of Zombie Richtofen. On December the 31st, 2035, the Victor's characters, consisting of Misty, Malton, Russman and Stuhlinger, travelled to Buried in Angola, Africa.
I think this is the Rictus crew? I don't remember.
As they explored the underground abandoned old western town, Dr. Richtofen, who was in control of the zombies at the time, and Dr. Maxis both made contact with them and told them to activate a polarization device in their favour. Richtofen, able to speak to Stuhlinger in his head due to his connection through the ether, thanks to him consuming the flesh of the undead, tries to convince Samuel to activate the device for him. Meanwhile, Maxis talks to them through radios, telling them to activate the device for him, and they choose to side with Maxis. After completing a few quests in the area, they eventually activate the pylon, and Maxis's grand plan comes into fruition, where he betrays the Victor's crew and tells them his true agenda. Now in control of the ether's energy, Maxis could finally reach Ogotha, reuniting himself with his daughter Samantha, informing them that once this is complete, no one on Earth will survive, including them. It will be destroyed. He opens the gateway to Ogotha, plucks his daughter's soul, Samantha, out of Richtofen's body on the moon, and reunites with her. And in one...
Okay, so y'all probably not gonna get like a lot from the video, so I'm gonna just do like a quick explanation. Just a quick one. Basically, we're talking
no one will survive after this was
we're talking about Maxis where what do you call it? Nine. What's it called? This is basically fucking about experiments and shit, and they developed this thing called 115, which is the zombie virus. And this is like the most unrealistic zombie game ever because it has space and it's kind of like all fucking shit. Like ancient fucking aliens shit. I think it was called Ground Live. And it's fucking and fucking aliens fucking the virus 115 and blah blah blah. Moon, yeah. Went flooded. And the moon map, they bombed her. So yeah, this is the most unrealistic zombie game ever, but it is very, very interesting.
And reunites with her. And in one final act to get revenge on Richtofen for everything that he's done, he plucks his soul out of Samantha's body on the moon and places him into a zombie, creating Zombie Richtofen.
The process has begun. Now I control the ether's energy. I can at last reach Agatha. Ah, you fools! Why did you listen to him? Regretfully, I must inform you that neither the Earth nor its people will survive. Ah, I tried so hard to warn you. Don't go! Once the gateway is open, I will finally be reunited with my dearest Samantha.
Hello? Are you forgetting something? Even if your wretched daughter is still alive, she has my body!
If you are so eager to re-enter the physical world, Richtofen, I will grant you that fish!
Around this same time, in a different universe, an alternate version of Richtofen, known as Primus Richtofen, discovered that he had a connection to Stuhlinger. He contacted the Victor's crew and offered them an escape portal from the soon-to-be-destroyed Earth. Little did they know his hidden agenda of using them to acquire the Chronorium, a book needed for his plan to find the summoning key. He then instructed Undead Richtofen to find
the Chronorium is a book that could tell the future and the past. It's like a book that's for their multiverse thing about the zombies, Element 15, ancient creatures, Shadow Man, which I'll tell y'all later about, and many others. It's like it gives out certain stories and timelines, and it tells them in the book, and what you need to do to find certain items that were hidden in certain universes and blah blah blah, and how they travel through fucking time itself. So yeah.
Follow Victus to ultimately recover their blood vials for him later on. Now pursued by undead Richtofen and an army of zombies, Victus enters the rift and leaves buried. Soon after, Maxis destroys Earth and all of its surviving inhabitants. The rift leads Misty, Malton, Stuhlinger and Russman to an abandoned city where they set up base. While patrolling the area, Misty is ambushed by a horde of zombies, but narrowly escapes with the help of Malton, who provides distraction with a drone. Upon returning to their hideout, Misty discusses the situation with Malton, but suddenly notices Russman on his security camera, who was out looking for food, who also runs into a few zombies, but is saved by Stuhlinger, who set up a claymore trap. The two of them eventually end up outside on the streets and fend off zombies using weapons they salvaged, though they eventually run out of ammo.
This is the worst crew, in my opinion. The best crew is Premise. Yeah.
Misty then provides sniper support from the rooftop, allowing the two to run back to the hideout.
Also, all this shit is fucking German, by the way. Like, if you don't understand a word like I said, like chronological, that shit is German. Everything, like, it's German. Like, the fucking, some maps are German. It's just like most of the stuff is in German. This game is German, or based off of Germany, German words, secret German groups, like those. I don't even want to say it, but it's just like German, this German. It's like so much German stuff. It's like, it's almost like the whole game is German, but I don't think so. I think it's American, guys.
Hideout. Through her sniper scope, Misty spots a unique looking zombie wearing a Nazi outfit and attempts to shoot it, but this zombie somehow manages to dodge the bullet and commands the other zombies to storm the hideout. Little did they know, this zombie was undead Richtofen. Stuhlinger then attempts to convince the others to listen to the voice of Premise Richtofen in his head and says that he has a plan for them, in which he then opens up another portal, allowing the four to escape just as the zombies pour in, as undead Richtofen looks at the portal and grins. When the Victor's crew arrive on the other side, Russman
and Richtofen is German, by the way,
recognizes that they have arrived at one of Broken Arrow's abandoned research facilities where he used to work. The zombies then come out from the portal behind them and continue chasing them down. Victors quickly start running and manage to override a door and lock the zombies out. Stuhlinger informs the others that their purpose here is to find the element, prompting him to question Russman of his knowledge of this place. Russman angrily threatens Stuhlinger as he begins to have flashbacks of his time working here as one of Broken Arrow's agents. He begins to remember about the experiments they did on animal subjects, using a large shard of element 115 that the organisation recovered from Division 9, mutating the animals into what Broken Arrow called bios. As the crew explore the lab, they come across the bios, which are still in containment, but they break free and head towards Victus at the exact same time.
Like, mind you, this whole game is not, like, doesn't make sense in a timeline or like a lore or like a realistic way. It doesn't make, it's like it's its own thing because of certain things. They just like kept adding shit and adding stuff, and it started not to make sense. And like BO3, the lore wise, I mean, it does start getting more interesting, but so far it's like there's nothing you can put together as a timeline.
That the zombies break in. As Russman runs away further inside the facility, he relives his flashbacks of the initial bio incident. Misty, Malton and Stuhlinger follow him, leaving the zombies and bios behind to battle each other. Russman leads the crew to where the element shard is being kept, which he claims is responsible for keeping the bios active. Premise Richtofen then confirms to Stuhlinger that the fragment of 115 is what they are here for, and so, with the help of Malton, Russman secures it inside of a box. Undead Richtofen, along with his zombie horde, finally overpower the bios and close in on the crew, causing Stuhlinger to once again cry out for Richtofen's help. As they attempt to hold off against the oncoming horde, Misty notices the intelligence of the zombies as they try to protect the Nazi zombie who is leading them. A portal then finally opens, allowing Victus to escape the Broken Arrow facility. Stepping out on the other side, the crew end up in another research facility, where Malton attempts to tinker with the security system, only to trigger a hologram of a Sophia-shaped robot AI
like, you see how interesting the plot of what this is? It's not because the story, like, people are interested because it has a story. It doesn't have a story. It's just that the fact that it doesn't make sense, but it was able to make a story out of nonsense makes it interesting. So just saying, like, how they have a freaking zombie that has a conscience of an actual another person from a different multiverse controlling that zombie and controlling other zombies because he's, you see what I mean? It doesn't really make sense, but that's what makes it interesting.
Speaking in a female German accent, she tells them that they are in zero base and demands authorization. Unbeknownst to them, this was SOPHI, otherwise known as Sophia, who had been programmed here by Dr. Maxis as a security measure. After failing to provide an access code, a security laser barrier appears, trapping Misty, Russman and Stuhlinger in between, while Malton was on the other side, safe. The barrier, however, began to close in, forcing them to open up a door in the middle, separating them. Malton attempts to disable one of the barriers to join them, but instead disables all of the barriers, forcing them to run off without him as the zombies attack. Malton fends off against the undead on his own, while Misty, Stuhlinger and Russman run away as the German AI continues to guide the zombies towards them. Eventually, the three come across a room containing various artifacts and junk, including a robotic bus driver, the golden rod, the Vril Sophia, and an elemental staff. All artifacts collected by Dr. Maxis from different universes. As the crew inspects the relics, Russman nearly falls to his death by a trap on the floor. Meanwhile, Malton attempts to escape using the air vent system, but the facility's artificial intelligence attempts to flush him out using chloride gas. He ends up inside the control room where the AI sphere attempts to negotiate with him, but Malton decides to use his axe to destroy the system instead. He then guides the other three to his location, where he comes across a mechanism containing 4 individual chairs with a device in the middle. When Misty, Stuhlinger and Russman reunite with Malton, he tells them the plan. Each of them sit in one of the chairs and place the elemental shard inside of the device. The contraption then begins extracting their blood, with Stuhlinger explaining Primus Richtofen's words that it's supposed to help recognize and differentiate them from zombies. After their blood is taken, a flash then occurs, and the four find that the view ahead of them changes to a lush forest during the night, leaving Misty to wonder if they have fix the world. As Stuhlinger looks on at the outside view in awe, Misty reminds the crew of the oncoming zombie horde and breaks the glass between them and the forest, against Malton's objections of a potential atmospheric hazard. As they make their way through the forest, they eventually find a large facility.
I really love this storyline. Like, well, zombies in general. That's why I play it, or at least I used to. I gotta get a new Xbox, bro. But I love this, bro. I need to get the books too.
And each of them find a cottage to hide in, waiting to ambush the zombies. As the zombies approach the facility, the four open fire, forcing undead Richtofen to lead his horde away and retreat, with Misty noticing once again that zombie is unique. She had never seen a zombie before with a sense of self-preservation. Later, Misty keeps watch while Malton figures out the power system in the area, leaving Russman to cook a meal for everyone. Stuhlinger, however, wanders off and talks to Primus Richthofen of the situation as he touches a tree.
This man goes in full detail on his freaking book, but it's giving great information about this whole storyline thing, and that's why I love this channel so much. And I'm gonna show you the channel name, which is Blackout's Amazing. Blackout's Amazing. Go freaking subscribe to him if you like Call of Duty Zombies.
It turns to ash. Richtofen tells Stuhlinger that this is because they are within a tangent timeline, one without human life prior to the arrival of Dr. Maxis, who set up a base here. The appearance of Victus had accelerated the collapse of this timeline. Primus Richthofen then points Stuhlinger towards a door at the base, saying that this is what they are here for, but immediately stops him when he attempts to enter, telling him he must convince the others. Stuhlinger returns back to Misty, Malton and Russman, who are happily enjoying their meals, and attempts to convince them of the true nature of this dimension, but he fails. He freaks out as Misty tries to comfort him, prompting Malton to hold him at gunpoint. Russman then attempts to protect Stuhlinger by pointing a gun at Malton, while Misty tries to calm everyone down. Next, the zombies start to attack them again out of nowhere, despite Malton's claim of the security alarm system having been fixed. Stuhlinger ignores Richtofen's request and heads off to the room alone, where he finds undead Richtofen and the rest of the zombies actually make way for him to enter, rather than attacking. Stuhlinger breaks into the room, where in the middle is a glass compartment containing the Canorium. He breaks it open, but triggers the security system set in place, releasing various zombies with cybernetic enhancements that had been placed here by Dr. Maxis to protect it. Now pursued by cyborg zombies, Zombie Richtofen, and the regular undead, Stuhlinger, Misty, Malt, and Russman retreat to the lab with the Canorium. When they eventually make it back to the mechanism, they sit down in their chairs, which takes their blood again before another flash occurs, and they get sent back to Zero Base. When they arrive, still pursued by the zombies, Russman
So basically that freaking mechanical thing they had being to take their blood is like a teleporter. And in order for it to work, it has to take their blood. Okay. Is it like teleporting through like places or timelines? That's the question.
finally gets a clear shot to take out undead Richtofen, but Stuhlinger stops him, telling him the voice in his head says he has a purpose to fulfill, that he mustn't be killed. As the crew run outside and continue to fend off against the zombies, undead Richtofen then sneaks away, where he opens up the mechanism and retrieves Victus's blood samples before leaving the area. Misty then shoots a bullet at the device, which causes a huge explosion, killing all of the surrounding zombies, and with everything seemingly now over, Primus Richtofen opens up another portal and Victus travel through it. As they step—
Also, by the way, this crew, Victus, is also the crew that is in the map of Transit in Black Ops, in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Just letting y'all know that.
through the other side, they arrive in the basement of Dr. Monty's house, where they finally come face to face with the voice in Stuhlinger's head, Primus Richtofen. As he tells them to be quiet as the kids are asleep upstairs, Stuhlinger hands him the Canorium. Richtofen tells Victus that this book documents the vast and ever-changing histories and mysteries of the entirety of the universe, and needed it to find something that he has to steal. As he opens the book and reads it, he sees everything. The forces of good and evil, Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man battling across all time and space. He learns that he has been an agent and an ally to both of them, as well as witnessing each and every possible—
And then Dr. Monty? No, I'm not gonna say nothing stupid.
reality, all of which he dies in. Life and death, the endless cycle. Richtofen then closes the Canorium and asks Victus if they want to live. However, they don't trust him due to him messing them around this whole time, telling him that they think him saving their lives is another con to keep using them until they're dead. Richtofen tells them that regrettably he has other business to attend to, but when he returns, they can either go with him and see if he can save all of their lives, or they can stay in this world and he can send them wherever they wish to go in it, although all of it is pretty much equally as terrible. Primus Richtofen then opens up a rift and travels to Zero Base, where he finally meets with undead Richtofen. He says to him, "You know, I really do hate seeing you like this, or I suppose seeing me like this." As undead Richtofen hands over the Victus blood samples to Primus Richtofen, he continues to say, "I really have to thank you. Was this your idea? I'm honestly not even sure. When you know everything that happens in a story, chronology kind of goes out the window." Primus Richtofen then looks at one of the blood samples and says, "It makes sense. I've always been obsessed with it." As he leaves back through the rift he entered, before saying, "I suppose in some ways, you're the one that got Sammy to do all of this, so I shouldn't feel too guilty." The rift then closes as Primus Richtofen leaves, leaving Zombie Richtofen trapped in this universe, to collapse in on itself, destroying everything within it. In an alternate timeline in 1963, the Ultimus versions of Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey were teleported down from the moon to Area 51. When they arrived, Nikolai, Takeo and Dempsey were barely alive due to their exposure to element 115. However, Richtofen's body was in a near catatonic state.
This is Cornelius Purnell. Report 639, August 3rd, 1963. Earlier today, while Dr. Schuster was performing test number 11, we had an unexpected arrival through the teleporter. We've been unable to verify what year they came from. Our struggle with temporal anomalies during teleportation is well documented, but we are certain of where they came from: the moon. This event alone is baffling enough and is without explanation. But it becomes downright absurd when you take into account that I know 2 of the 4 individuals. Corporal Tank Dempsey of the United States Marine Corps, who I knew personally and was declared KIA after a failed rescue op to recover Peter McCain. And Dr. Edward Richtofen from Group 935, who went missing weeks after we formalized the agreement to initiate Operation Stapler. I didn't recognize the other 2, but they and Corporal Dempsey were in a delusional, near catatonic state. Medical evaluation shows they've suffered from excessive element 115 exposure. And quoting our medic, I'm not even sure how they're still alive. As for Dr. Richtofen, initially we believed him DOA. Upon closer examination, we discovered his body is very much alive. Just zero brain activity. How it came to be that these 4 men were on the moon, we may never know. However, for the immediate future, we'll be keeping them here at Groom Lake. They are ideal candidates for additional 115 testing.
Due to
I
his
love how the story like questions the plot of the whole thing, or like how they got to the moon without like space gear, how they was able to transport to different freaking universes, and how freaking Zombie Richtofen was even able to become Zombie Richtofen. It's like so many levels to it. They acknowledge the fact that it's not realistic, and they still make the storyline as fun as possible and non-realistic as possible, which is great. This is why I love this series so much, bro.
body containing no soul after it was plucked
Can't
out
get
by
better
Dr.
than
Maxis.
this, man.
His body was barely alive, having zero brain activity. All 4 of them were placed in a hangar to be used for 115 testing. But on October the 13th, 1963, a rift opened up in the empty earth and Undead Richtofen used it to travel to the hangar where Ultimus Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey were being kept. Undead Richtofen walked up to Ultimus Richtofen's lifeless body, touched him where Zombie Richtofen's soul was transferred into Ultimus Richtofen's, bringing him back to life, leaving Zombie Richtofen to fade to ash. And that would have been the end of him if it wasn't for the broken cycle, where in the Tagdo Toten ending, Primus Nikolai poisons all of the Ultimus and Primus characters, Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai, Dempsey. They all die. However, after Ultimus Richtofen is poisoned, he comes back to life as Undead Richtofen. But knowing in order to give the children a better life, all of them had to go one final time. Primus Nikolai shoots Zombie Richtofen in the head, finishing him for good.
Alright, y'all, that is gonna be the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.